Hey 958 fans, we've got a 2011 Cayenne S, V8 S, that we're going to address the fact that it's leaking a bunch of oil. It's made the underbody pan here get all wet. The oil's coming from bank one from the vacuum pump. And so the vacuum pump is oil fed, and so if the seals inside leak or the seals against the head leak, we get oil dripping like this is. So what we're going to be doing here is removing the hood strut because we need good access to get to this. This car happens to have a bad hood strut. So that's our first step here, is just getting the hood strut removed. If you've never done this before, it's pretty easy. It's just wedging a little screwdriver to pull the spring clip outward. Just make sure on this bottom one, see how I've got that red little battery cover. Make sure that battery cover is closed, otherwise you'll make some sparks here. But once the little hood strut has been removed, we can now use a telescoping little holder here to get better access, because the vacuum pump lives in the very back corner off the bank one side of the engine. So we're looking on, this is a US car, so on the passenger side here, that vacuum pump lives in probably the most complicated spot to get to. I think it's harder than the high pressure fuel pump because it's underneath some coolant lines, a stiff vacuum line, some electrical cables, and there's just no access. So the approach is going to be similar to the high pressure fuel pump. We're going to need to take out the false firewall that's on this bank one side. So that's where the majority of this work comes from. Taking the pump out's not too hard, but gosh, there's a lot to get out with regards to getting out the false firewall. We're going to start with removing the little screen over the intake for the HVAC. This is a little drain pan. We're going to pull this out. It's just one screw, and then this will just slide right out. This car has been sitting outside and it just sits in the sun, so the plastic little cowl cover is pretty brittle, and I don't want to risk breaking it by yanking on it hard. So we're going to take off the wiper arms, which is pretty easy to do. Just those two nuts, they're 16 millimeter nuts, and then just a generic puller is what we'll use to pop off both of the arms. I don't think this one had been removed because it came off with a bang on each of these. It's just pull on it real hard, there we go, but each of those will pop off. It's a good idea when you do this to make sure that the wiper arms are seated in their normal stop position so you can put it back in the right spot. So just those two central ones are all we need to remove. So now we can lift up with a little more safety the cowl cover and get screw number one for the false firewall. Here's screw number two, looking right at it, really easy to undo. And that screws out of there. All right, now what we need to do is tackle the coolant tanks in our way. And so there's a little holding screw underneath the coolant tank, the coolant reservoir, whatever you want to call it. And then there's several lines that come into this venting apparatus here. And so we're going to pull all this stuff off in kind of a haphazard nature here. So we're taking off right now. There's a little 10 millimeter plastic nut holding the catalytic converter cables. And we'll unclip the cable holder here to free that up. So what we're trying to do is get all these things to be free and move around as easy as possible, because we're going to have to be jamming our hand in the back side. A little more room we can have if we take off the tank vent line. So that was easily just that plug removed. And now the third screw that's retaining the false firewall is kind of hidden by this little harness guide. So there's that screw right in that little opening there that we're going to have to kind of jam our little Torx into that area to unscrew. It's a really easy screw to drop, so once you get it almost out, you're going to want to make sure you put a rag in place so you don't end up losing it and having to go fish for it and maybe never find it. So jam a rag in there first, unscrew it, and then it usually just ends up falling on the rag, and then I can just get a little magnet tool and pull that little guy out. So there, we've gotten all three screws now. There's only three screws that retain the false firewall itself. There they are. And now it's a matter of the DME, the control unit for the engine. It's clipped on, the harness is clipped to the false firewall itself. And so there's two clips, just using a screwdriver can leverage those off. And then the DME, of course, goes over the false firewall. So we're going to need to actually unplug the DME large plug. It's got a slide lock on the left side of it where my hand is. So we're going to slide out, and then the cable will come off. And so the big cable moved out of the way, and then it's a good idea, because the DME is actually aiming upward, it's a good idea to actually put a rag over that plug so we don't get something dropped, and then that creates its own kind of problem. So put a rag on top of that. The DME harness has a ground cable with this body painted nut, so we'll need to undo the nut so we can get that little ground cable off. Now this big harness is free, and we can start to work it out of the way. Now there is one little crossover cable that has a cable holder that we need to pop open to get a little more movement. There it is, right next to the mechanism for the wipers. So we need to pop that little cable holder open, and then that lets us move that better. So we're going to now start working on undoing some of these tank vent lines here. So that's actually the vent line from the cylinder head. This feed line from the tank has a little clip that it works well just using a screwdriver to pry that off. And so once that's pried off, now this hose is free from the false firewall. And the approach I'm going to do here, you may not need to actually do this because there is enough room to wiggle the tank around, but in this case I'm going to take off this little venting valve completely off the tank so I have as much room as possible. And so we're just moving the little hose clamp right there, and then using a hose spreading tool to slide this hose off, we can get the hose off the little nipple. And so now our tank is free. Next up, I'm going to lift up this cowl panel a little bit here. And so just using a plastic tool, you can use it underneath to move it upward. And now we're able to actually free up with the tank loose, with the cowl panel loose, with all those wires off. Out comes our false firewall. Now you can see why we did that. Now we actually have some room to get in there. And more importantly is to get the pump out. We need that space to be able to get it out. So the vacuum pump itself has two connections. That's it. It's got this top connection, which if you just compress it, you can pull it upward and it will pop out. And then the bottom connection there is the little vacuum line, an additional vacuum line that is just press fit on. And so it's just pushing it with a screwdriver from the base and pulling it up. That'll pull off that little vacuum line. So the two lines are now disconnected that go to the vacuum pump. It is effectively undone, and now we have only 3 screws. So there's one of them on the outer side of bank 1. And the next screw is on the inboard side of that, so toward the middle of the engine at the top corner up there. It's the external Torx. And then the bottom one, you can't see. You're going to have to do this one entirely by feel because it's too far down on the inboard sides. We're going to use that E10 external Torx fitting to undo these screws. They're very easy to get off. That once you break them free, you can just get in with your hand and wiggle them free. There's our first one. All 3 are the same size. And so there's little M6 screws. So we got the outboard one. Now we're working on the inboard, so toward the inside of the engine on the top. And again, this one's pretty easy to visualize because you can actually see this one. And so once we break it free with the wrench, and then this is just showing you where the wrench is at on that upper screw. So you can see there's so many things in our way, very little room to work, just a little tiny wrench is needed. Unfortunately, these aren't on very hard. So once we break it free, we can then just withdraw the wrench, and then just using your fingers, just get your fingers in there to spin out. We're going to go fast here because we're just undoing a screw here, but just spin out that screw. And there's the second one. Now the third one is pretty tough because you'll need to use both hands to feed your wrench down. So you can see the one we've taken away, but the red circle there is the one we're reaching for. So you kind of need to train your hand where it is. So you'll feel for it, get a wrench on it, break it free, spin it out with your fingers, and there it is. So we got all 3 screws. Once the 3 screws are out, this comes off pretty easy. It just slides backward and axially, so just sliding straight back. It'll slide right out. It doesn't have anything to fall out like the high pressure fuel pump, so the key that hooks into the cam is actually stuck on the pump. So nothing to fall out. We just need to withdraw it. The O-rings may fall out as you pull it by all these different hoses, but just pulling it very slowly. This took me probably 15 minutes just to figure out which way to weave it out, up over this hose, below that hose, around that cable, but just slowly moving it so you're not harming anything, and eventually it can be withdrawn. So with the pump out, make sure you've got everything. In this case, we're missing the little green O-ring that it just fell out because it hit a hose as we were pulling this thing out. So there's that little O-ring. And what we see on the back of the engine, you can take a camera and just show it back in there, but we've got 2 spots where it seals up against. Make sure that those little mating surfaces are clean. The new pump, it's a good idea, so you don't have to sit and figure out how to get this thing, is to rotate the shaft so that the little keyway things line up. And so that looks pretty good. So now we're pretty close. We're ready to stick this thing in. So that's all there's to it and getting it out. But now it's just, again, weaving this in and out, trying to get this thing to clear. Thank goodness that false firewall is out, because otherwise this wouldn't be able to fit into place. And it's just a matter of getting in place, making sure that you don't knock the O-rings off along your way. And once you confirm the O-rings are still present, this is going to just slide straight in once the little keys match up with the end of the cam. And so it just slides in. There we just kind of give it a little push and slid it into place. And then we'll just start with the easiest one here so that it's for sure lined up, is we're going to do the outboard, one of the 3 screws first. We'll finger tighten it. Make sure we're still seated, which we are. And then the upper one, we'll thread that screw in by hand. And now the third one, you got to do this one blind. So this one takes a little bit of skill to drop this thing in place, find the little hole, not drop the screw. There's no room to stick a rag there, so just not drop that screw and get it into place. And so once all 3 screws are finger tightened, then we can go to using a ratchet to put them in place. They are just M6 screws, so 7.5 foot-pounds is what the torque is. And so in this case, because that lower screw on the inboard side is so difficult to get at, we'll tighten the 2 top guys first. Check the torque, make sure we're good. There's our torque wrench. We'll do it again on the upper one, get our torque wrench out. And then this is tough, just fitting way in there. This is the bottom screw. You can see how hard it is to get that little ratchet in place, all the hoses that are in our way. But now all 3 screws are tightened down. We just now need to hook everything back up. So here is the small vacuum line. Remember, there's 2 vacuum lines to hook up. So here's the small one. This one's just the press fit. It gets pushed into place all the way down so it's fully seated. The upper one is just lining it up and giving it a good straight push until the plastic clip pops. There it is. And now we're putting back, there's a catalytic converter cable that needs to go in its little harness holder. We undid the cam sender, so the cam position sender, the little plug gets plugged back in. And while we're here, this is actually a wonderful time to make sure that the cowl panel area, the little drains, are cleared out. This one is not. And so what I like to do on these is actually remove the little rubber grommet. So there it is, that little rubber piece that tends to just clog. So now we can get all the stuff out of there. So now we can put our false firewall back in. We don't want to hook any other hoses up because we need the movement of the water tank to slide this into place and get it into position. And then once it's in position, we can start putting everything back where it needs to go. So first off is the large DME cables. And we'll get some screws in this so we're sure that we're lined up. So we got the 2 top screws of the false firewall in place. This rubber little flange gets pushed into place. And then don't forget the ground cable for the DME with the little nut that's body colored. It's pretty cool how they paint this at the same time they paint the car. So we'll put our little black nut once we've placed the wire in place. And just give that a bit of a tighten once it's in place. DME plug, just once you line it up, seat it down, and then just slide back that locking pin. Just make sure when you slide the locking pin that you actually fully slide it. It will pop, but you can partially lock it. So if you look here, the little upper part's not fully seated. So it just needs a little more pressure to fully lock this. So if I reach in here and gonna press on it really firmly, there we go, now it's fully seated. So make sure that gets fully seated when you put the DME plug in. It's pretty stiff. We'll put the cable holders that hook onto the false firewall back in place. And now we're ready for that 3rd screw here with the rag in place so that we don't drop it. It's super easy to drop, it's hard to press in. This is the wiper arm gear area where we got to just hook that cable harness back into its little holder. Don't forget the screw on the bottom of the coolant reservoir. And then we can reassemble all of the reservoir parts that we had taken apart. All this all just slides right back into place. We have that hose holder that we removed that need to get clipped on. Here we are sliding it on and in place, and then we're putting back together the little HVAC, little splash pan there. Just one screw, just the one screw is what you have to undo there. You're looking at two of them, but only the one is all that's necessary to undo this. So we'll put the one screw back in. The last connection on the reservoir tank is the little hose clamp that we're moving in place. There we go. The reservoir tank is now all hooked up. Putting the cowl cover back in place, I use the same plastic tool to push it all along the little ridge to pop it in place. I like this cleaned up nicely, so we're going to clean it up while we're here. And we'll put our little cover in place. And then the seal for the hood. And wipers go back in place. Again, make sure that your wiper is in the parked position so you're not installing this then having to redo it again because you put the wipers on wrong. The torque value for these nuts is listed in the factory manual as 24 foot-pounds. Pelican has it listed as 15, but it's 24. So we're going to be filling the cooling system back up with one of these vacuum fillers, which makes this job just so simple. So as long as the coolant tank is pretty much empty, we can pull a vacuum on the system, and we're looking to get almost to 650, so about there. That's where it will hold, and then we can fill the system from there. So doing this job, since we've pretty much drained the coolant reservoir, it's going to take one whole jug here. So this gallon jug of coolant, it'll end up taking the entire jug. That results in a totally filled coolant reservoir that we can just cap off. And that'll wrap up all of the work necessary to take out and put back in the vacuum pump. So that's our last step, is getting the coolant all filled in, snapping on the coolant reservoir cap, and we're all set. You remember we did put a new hood strut, so now the hood can stay up, which is great. So new hood strut, that just pops right in. There's no tool needed at all. And we're all done. We got the coolant reservoir filled, our nice shiny vacuum pump back there, all the hoses connected. We are ready to start this up and make sure it all runs right. It'll need a good cleaning underneath it to get all the leaking oil from the underbody panel, but let's fire this up. There we go. Thanks for watching another successful fix here on the 958 Garage.